Season 29 of Dancing with the Stars is well underway, and we are getting to the halfway mark. We are here to react to the best and worst performances of episode 5. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We are, of course, so excited to continue discussing Dancing with the Stars with you. But before we get into it, if you are new here, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss any future updates from us. Today I am, of course, no surprise here, joined by the legendary Fiona Zaring. How are you, Fiona?
Oh my goodness. Hello. What an intro. I'm good. How are you?
What an intro. I'm great. Did you catch Dancing with the Stars last night?
I did. And last night was like so fun.
Right?
I loved the 80s theme. Oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're of course going to get into all of it very soon. But of course, just in case you are new here and you haven't been watching our previous videos, this is how this is going to work. We're going to talk the best 3 and worst 3 performances based on the judges' scores and our opinions. And they often line up, but not always, which is always kind of fun. Of course, this week was 80s night, as Fiona mentioned, which was just a blast, and I cannot wait to talk about it with you. There were 5 scores of 24 this week, so needless to say, this competition is heating up and it's getting very even. So week to week, it gets more and more kind of cringe-worthy or nail-biting when it comes to the eliminations, which of course we will talk about. Also, we have our own honorable mention category, and that will go to someone who scored in the middle range but showed major improvement. I say we get it right into it, Fiona. How does that sound?
That sounds amazing. These were so fun. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's start with our low scorers. We have 2 19s this week, which is pretty low at this point in the competition. So that is
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But first is Chrishell, Stouse. I first have to mention, just before we even talk about the performances, just how cute she was in the little featurette interview portion before the dance. I mean, she was just nerding out about New Kids on the Block, and it was the most adorable thing I've ever seen. But back to the dance. The Selling Sunset star danced with her partner Gleb to You Got It, The Right Stuff by New Kids on the Block. Let's check it out.
Let's do it.
She looks 80s. Like, it feels like she could be in that time.
She really does. Ooh, I forgot about that little moment.
Yeah, so did I. I forgot about that. You watched it. I want your kind of feedback here. What did you think of this performance?
Okay, here's the thing. We've been saying this nonstop about Chrishell, and I am starting to feel like a broken record, but I do love her. So I feel like I find myself being so excited to just like see her having fun. But at this stage of the competition, I do feel like I was sort of hoping she would have like an explosive, like, I'm here to win, I'm here to play moment. And I feel like she just keeps kind of skating by, and it's cute and it's fun, but I like wasn't wowed by it. I was wowed by her outfit and how cute she looked.
Yeah.
But I wasn't
Absolutely.
wowed by it. What about you?
I do agree. It's like I'm waiting for her to have a crazy moment where she's in like our top 3 in the week. I'm just waiting for some sort of magical thing to happen. Like she boots Kaitlyn Bristowe off for like a second off of her perch and just gets to be in the top. But I don't think a 19 was deserved. I think she did deserve a higher score.
No.
And part of me is like just that I'm saying that just because it's Chrishell, and I know you and I love Chrishell. We could talk about Chrishell all day, but I just think, especially considering there's another 19 that we will be watching right after this that I think was much worse than this performance. I just think they're being so hard on Chrishell for some reason. And I was watching with my roommate last night, and we were both like, we loved that. And then the scoring happened.
Right.
And we were like, what? A 19? Because 19 is pretty low at this point in the competition. I think the lowest score last week might have been 21, but I could be wrong now that I'm saying that out loud. So yeah, I don't know. I agree that I don't think it was her best, but what do you think?
I think they're very hard on her, partially, I think, because America loves her so much that I feel like sometimes with contestants that like they want it to be clear almost that it's like not a popularity contest in the sense that like if she's going to make it all the way through to the end and be the winner, but clearly not be the best dancer just because, like, she's cute and does a good job and then America keeps her safe, I feel like they think they'll take in some criticism. So since she emerged as such, like, an early fan fave, I feel like they were like, okay, we have to do our jobs. Like, if she's going to ride through this whole competition, she needs to be judged fairly, harshly. But I think this is something we keep talking about with her, where we watch her performances and all of her fans and all of America is like, she looked amazing, she did a really good job, she didn't really mess up, like, what's going on? So I don't know, maybe they're just feeling their, you know, intense judge duties with her for some reason. I don't know, but I do agree with you.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what happens next week.
It's very tough. I love that you said there was another score of 19, and I think this really comes to light when we put them next to each other, so let's just dive into that one. We have next up with our score of 19, Jesse Metcalfe. He was also a low scorer last week, so he's been struggling a bit. He danced the tango with his partner Sharna to Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Let's take a look at this one. Let's roll the clip.
Let's do it. Oh, I love this song though, I must say. Obviously the hair, we have to point out.
Yeah, the look. Okay. Here's my thing, Tyler.
Please tell me.
I feel nothing. What are your thoughts? Because I just kind of feel nothing.
Fiona, I was so ready for you to, that was brilliant. I was ready for you to go on this thing and you're like, so I feel nothing. And I completely 100% agree with you. I think, and the judges kind of got into this. I'm like, that's exactly what he was doing. He was focusing way too much on the performance and not the technique or the actual dance at all. I'm still laughing at your comment. But I just think he was putting on this like 80s kind of straight-faced character almost the whole time, which I appreciate. Like, he's an actor, I get it, but I think just the footwork really just suffered because he's putting way too much energy into the performance of it all. Also, a tango is already difficult for someone who's not I don't know, super trained. So because it's so precise and requires like so much sweeping across the floor with your partner. So I think it was already going to be difficult, and then putting on this added like performance element, I don't think helped him at all. I mean, I don't know. He's lasted this long because I think he's so charming, and sometimes he'll come out of the gate with something like I remember his Newsies dance being really just, I think that was so adorable, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. Yeah. But this one with this kind of like, he's putting on a persona, and it really kind of brought his lack of skill to light. No shade, Jesse, I'm sorry. But what do you think?
No, I agree. I totally agree. I think that in Dancing with the Stars, I mean, look, we were just talking about Chrishell, who always performs to the fullest, and I think her performance can make up for perhaps some lack of technique. But a certain type of performance, I feel like, can do the opposite effect. This, to me, it wasn't the kind of like active, like engaging performance where I was like, okay, what's coming next? What is he going to do next? What's the next thing? Yeah. Where I was just focusing on that and not looking at everything else going around. It was such a specific like shtick. And I just think it didn't do him any favors. It didn't work. It just drew attention to the lack of everything else going on. So it was a tough one. It deserved its 19.
Yes, and I mean, I completely agree. So, and we'll talk more about Jesse in a little bit, but let's move on to our third worst, meaning a better score. Great, because we had two 19s and now we have a 21 with Vernon Davis. He's sort of been, I mean, talk about skating through the competition. We've barely spoken about Vernon, which I think is a really strategic move. It's not that he's necessarily doing it intentionally, but he always scores in the middle. And he never wows us. So he's not really our best or worst three in a week, and he's never our honorable mentions. So I'm glad we get to finally talk about Vernon for a second. The NFL star, of course, danced the tango with his partner Peta to Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi, an absolute 80s classic. Let's roll this clip.
Let's do it. The hair.
The hair is. Yes, Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis. So obviously he scored a little bit higher than our last two. And what do you think about that, Fiona? What are you thinking?
I think that this one's hard because I feel like I want to root for him because he really is, like, every time we do watch him, I'm always like, fun, good for him, like, great job.
Yes.
But I think that the reality is it just felt a little sloppy. He was a little, like, hunched. It just didn't feel like he was present and, like, in it and really performing. It just felt a little lost. Like, we had the hair and the song and these crazy outfits, but I just didn't see, like, a lot that I was like, wow, that was so cool. That was so great. And I do think he has been, like, skating through. And this was sort of like a step down from his, like, I'm usually dead in the middle, doing pretty well. It just felt like it wasn't his week. What did you think?
Yes, I completely agree. And I don't know. I just think he got a 21, Chrishell got a 19. Where is the disconnect? Because I'm watching these two dances and I'm like, it feels so objective, even though my opinion couldn't be more subjective because it's an opinion. But I don't know. It's just, I just feel like they're being like unconsciously less harsh on Vernon because he's an NFL star. So it's a little bit different. Obviously, the male partner doesn't have to, I mean, they literally have to bear the weight often of their partner, but not really of the dance as a whole, because you can kind of distract everyone if you have a really amazing female, like, a dance partner. But I don't know. We'll see in coming weeks what Vernon does, because we, maybe even last week, we're like, Vernon might surprise us next week. We have no idea. Like, he is kind of just a hidden kind of attacker in this competition. So yeah, we'll see where Vernon ends up going in this competition, because he got really close to the fire this week. But hopefully next week he just comes out of the gate with some crazy, I don't know, he needs to find his style of dancing. And it doesn't help with this height difference. I think he's adorable, but yeah.
Oh my God, he's so adorable. I honestly feel like this is the part of the competition where things get tough, because we still are rooting for all of these people who are on, the lower scoring side, or like they're applying, different types of skills. They don't really have a dance background. Like, we still want to see them, and I think we're so charmed by them still. But when there are people, like, we're going to get into our heavy hitters after our honorable mention, those people are so good that it just starts to feel like, what are you gonna do? But before we get into that, let's talk about our honorable mention, because I feel like if there is someone who's going to turn the corner and maybe explode into the next level of the competition, it's this person. This performer got a score somewhere in the middle, but showed major improvement from last week, at least in our opinion. We get to have a little bit of fun with this one. And this week, our honorable mention goes to Miss Monica Aldama, who is my absolute fave. She was, of course, in the bottom two last week, and with a score of 26, she really brought it. We learned this in the interview. Monica went to college for finance, by the way, you guys. Who knew? How interesting. The cheer coach danced the tango with her partner Val to Tainted Love by Soft Cell, which is one of my favorites. Let's check out her routine. Killing it.
Yes.
I loved it. I felt like it was, the drama was there. It was so hot. She hit all of those poses. I mean, there's something about Monica that I think it's like not a very unique comment, but she is sharp and she hits her counts, which, she's a cheerleader. That's what she does.
A cheer coach.
But I feel like it really, it like really served her well in this kind of number, to this song with those beats. Like, she was able to, I think, really have a moment this week, really shine.
Yes.
What did you think?
I just think we said it last week, and I love when we predict things correctly. It's like Good job. But I mean, she was in that bottom two after that mishap last week, which of course people could not stop talking about this in this week's episode. It was like Tyra began the episode. Anyway, there was so much drama revolving around that mishap. But of course, I'm sure she was feeling safe, then unsafe, and then scared, and then safe again when Anne H went home. So she was, I mean, as a competitor, as someone whose career is competition, I think we both just had a feeling she was going to come back this week, and sure enough, she did. And I loved this dance. I thought it was so pristine. She looked so fierce. I think Monica is, again, a person to beat, because last week it just felt like she totally fell to the wayside, but she's back. And I love that she is back, because her time in this competition is not over. Like, I have not seen all I want to see from Monica yet. So I'm very excited that she did better this week.
Same. Couldn't have said it better. Totally agree.
Yes. I think we can now take a look at our heavy hitters. And when I say heavy hitters, this week they were very heavy hitters, that is. So I'm so excited to get into these three. So let's take a look at our second 26 scorer, Nev Schulman. So we personally chose him for our top three over Monica, but Monica scored the same, but she was our honorable mention, so it worked out. It worked out. Nev, though, has been a pretty high scorer all season. He's been pretty consistent. He opened up this week, which I thought was really cool, about being diagnosed with ADHD as a child in the 80s. So he affiliates that time sort of like being diagnosed with ADHD, and he found that he could channel his energy through dance. Because remember, he went to school for dance before leaving Sarah Lawrence. He was a dance and photography major. So the Catfish star danced the quick step this week, which is notoriously very difficult in this competition. So I was nervous when the announcer said quick step, with Pro Jenna to Take On Me by a-ha. So let's take a look. Another song I love.
I know, so fun.
Yes. The hair.
The pants. Oh my God, so fun.
He always has he's like crazy eyes. I love that pause. So I want your thoughts, Fiona. What did you think of this performance? It was a pretty high score.
I really enjoyed this performance. I thought the energy was like so incredible. There's something to be said about like a dance that difficult also being that fast. Oh my goodness. There were so many technical things that they had to hit, or, you know, the judges could have been really hard on them. And the fact that they killed a notoriously complex, I feel like a lot of people lose it on the quick step, you know? Like, I don't know if you're So You Think You Can Dance fan, but like dancers can lose it on the quick step. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like back in the day, any one of these dance shows I was watching, it was like someone got the quick step. Oh God, like what are they going to do? And he really... and he really did such an amazing job and brought it performance-wise, brought the energy. I really enjoyed it. I find myself kind of like, I'm not personally a fan of his in real life, so I sort of every week, like, I don't want to say forget about him, but like forget a little bit, and then he performs, and I'm like, oh my God, what a person to beat. What about you?
I think I am just becoming a Nev fan through this show. I don't watch Catfish.
Right?
I saw the movie. I don't really honestly know a lot about him, and I'm grateful for doing this with you, because it has forced me to kind of think about who the heck this guy is. And he really, I mean, we said it before, I mean, he scores pretty high every week, and it's so fun to see him I was gonna say in his element, which sounds weird because it feels like this isn't his element. Catfish and stuff is his element, but ultimately, I mean, he's a dancer. So his smile, how technically he's so sharp. It's the similar feeling to how I feel with Kaitlyn. That I'm like, Kaitlyn isn't known for dancing, but it feels weirdly that she's in her element. It feels very similar with Nev. So I just can't wait to see what he continues to do. And I love him and his partner. I think they really complement each other well. They seem like a really good pair. So I'm in. I'm in, personally.
Oh, I'm so in. So in. Totally agree. You mentioned Miss Kaitlyn Bristowe, and
yes.
no shockers here. She is, of course, in our top spots once again. Kaitlyn scored a 27 out of 30 this week, which is amazing. She has been scoring high truly all season. She is basically unstoppable, I would say, at this point in the competition. Yeah. She has proved the highest scorer of the season so far, which is very impressive because, as we've been talking about, there is a fierce competition. She danced the tango alongside her pro Artem to I Think We're Alone Now by Tiffany. Let's take a look. So fun, this one. Oh, those pigtails.
It's all the clap, clap. I just love how they hit it. Clap,
yeah.
Clap.
Oh my god. So, okay, the nerdy outfit is so good, obviously. The choreography, though, so sharp, so fun, so good. That little book situation. I was so here for this, and as usual, I don't really know what to say other than she is amazing. What would you say? Because I'm just sort of stuck on wow.
I just love Kaitlyn in this competition. She's so dang consistent. Even when she hurt her ankle that second week, the judges, because they probably, like us, Fiona, they don't really know what to say anymore when it comes to Kaitlyn. So last week, like, we want to see a different side of you. Kaitlyn this week decided to, okay, so you're going to see a different side of me with this outfit for one. Because she's always been glamour all season. So I'm like, yeah. Give her the outfit, and then the breakdown at the end of the dance, where because in the clips before, it was like she was practicing all these 80s moves and stuff, and I was like, but she's doing the tango, that doesn't make any sense. And then it finally just like the breakdown happened, and they ended it on this like 80s like hip hop kind of moment. Wait, I think we have a clip of just
we do. Let's take a look, because this moment was just too good. It's
too good. Yes.
A little floor action.
Like,
what an ending.
Not only was she nailing the tango part, and then she just comes out with these like amazing moves. I just think she is like what you said, Fiona. I think unstoppable is sort of the word for her. I think she's gonna take it all the way to the end. I have a feeling about her. I don't know if she's gonna win, but she has to stick around. I mean, she's never been in the bottom. It's.
I don't want to jinx anyone, but I agree.
Yeah.
I don't want to jinx her, but I'm like, I don't know if she'll win, but she may be gonna win. I mean, here's something about Kaitlyn that I think we obviously have talked about, so this isn't like a brand new thought, but her confidence is really something I think to be admired, and I think it's going to be what really keeps her moving. I mean, think about it. You've been assigned a tango, right? Even though they didn't take too long at the end to break it down, to have the confidence to be like, okay, we're gonna nail our tango to the point of impressing the judges with our tango skills. We're just gonna throw this on at the end, purely for performance, purely for fun. Think about some of our lower scoring couples. If they had parted from what they were supposed to be doing to just throw some pizzazz at the end, I don't know that the judges would have loved that. I don't know that we would be having the same conversation. Her confidence in her own skills is really what I think is going to carry her so far and give her an edge, because she's not just surviving. She's out there being like, okay, and after we nail that tango, what can we do next? Which is pretty crazy.
Flavor. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, your point about your point about deviating from the style, for shock value. I just think, I mean, you look at someone like Chrishell, she was marked down because there wasn't a lot of cha-cha in her cha-cha. That sounds weird. There wasn't a lot of cha-cha in her cha-cha, but there wasn't. And they really, I think that's partly why she got that 19 score. They were like, she's deviating too far from the style. But when someone like Kaitlyn does it, she knows that she can nail the tango and then more. It's like a little dessert at the end of the dance. So I cannot wait to see what she does next week. I can't wait to see what she does the week after that and the week after that. I just love her. Love her.
Same. Same.
I say let's move on to our top scorer this week with the highest score given so far in the competition, which Sky held the title last week with her amazing dance. But Johnny Weir, everyone, back on top. Johnny Weir's back on top. And of course, I love every time Johnny scores well because Kaitlyn, Fiona and I sort of thought he would be the person to beat all. We sort of assumed he was going to be the Kaitlyn of the season, like always in the top 3.
Sure.
But boy, oh boy, this dance this week was so killer. And of course, last week we loved his jive and we mentioned it last week. But this week, the figure skater danced contemporary, which I don't know if anyone's danced contemporary in this competition so far, to Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler. Very interesting. But to Total Eclipse of the Heart, which is just such a bop, by Bonnie Tyler with his partner Britt, and I say we roll to clip.
Let's do it. What a fun one.
I'm excited.
Oh my god.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The sync.
Just so in it.
What are your thoughts, Sienna? Give them to me.
You know, I think that, listen, we were right. No, I'm just like, he's so good, and that's not a surprise. I know, it's not crazy to think that he was going to be one of the ones to watch in this competition with his background. But contemporary is not something that I think, being an incredibly graceful ice skater, like contemporary is sort of a wild card in this competition for more reasons than one. And this was yet another performance of his where you look at him and you look at his insanely talented pro. Nothing to take away from her. She is incredible.
Absolutely.
But he holds his own next to her. And this is her profession. This is what she does. And I just feel like if you walked in, no idea who he was, no idea who she was, it would be very hard to pick out which one of them was the amateur, right? Which one of them was the star. And that's crazy to me. That's going to be really wild for him as the weeks go on. If he can maintain that level. Oh my God, I know I just said Kaitlyn would win, but these two, they really are top of the top.
They're top of the top. And I said this, I think maybe last week and maybe the week before and then the week before that. I just love how this duo approaches a partner dance. It's not the same. It's not what you'd expect. It's not this tall man, short woman. The woman is being lifted to the rafters. I mean, there are lifts and Johnny can do that. But they're so working in tandem. And I just love what he does week to week. And contemporary, not to mention, contemporary is difficult. And I think they were barefoot, which I loved. I'm like, has anyone been barefoot in this competition yet? Absolutely. But it's also not a very user-friendly dance. And it can be really polarizing in terms of America. The people watching, because contemporary is not ballroom, it's not sweeping, it's very dramatic, a lot of reaching, and I just think it was a risky move that clearly paid off, because ultimately 2 10s and a 9 was Johnny's score. That's 2 10s.
Crazy.
So this competition, that's the closest we've gotten to a perfect score. A 29 out of 30 is pretty wild. So I think it just goes to show that risks are going to be what sets the competitors apart from this point on. Because you have to stand out. It's the only way that you can stand, because if 5 people are scoring 24s with 3 8s across the board, the judges are fine giving out those 8s. They feel very comfortable doing that. But once you get to those 9s and 10s, they're being very stingy, and you have to wow them. And I'm obsessed that it was Johnny this week. I can't talk about Johnny enough. I just love him and his partner. I think they're going to wow us. I really hope they can continue it, because they've been somewhat inconsistent in terms of being on the top. But I hope that from this point on, they are just nailing it.
Oh my God, same. I mean, skill-wise, at the very least, he has the ability to do that. So it's like we want to see him continue to shine. But we could talk about Johnny all day because he's just so good. I mean, come on. But let's jump into really fast before we wrap up, just like some general discussion is where the competition is, who got eliminated, because we would be remiss to not say goodbye to Mr. Jesse Metcalfe. But you know what? Okay, obviously, you guys, he did get eliminated last night. Maybe this is a hot take, but I sort of feel like this was his time. I think it was fair. He did a wonderful job. He had some great moments, but we were just talking about Johnny Weir's skill, and there's no shame in the fact that Jesse just can't meet him there, right? I mean, what are your thoughts, Tyler?
I think, Fiona, you said it perfectly. I think we're talking about, it's so easy to be really, really sympathetic in the when we're talking about our bottom three of the week, because it's like, but from a normal perspective, like from America's perspective, I thought that they were really good, et cetera, et cetera. But then we begin talking about the top scorers, and it's just like, it's a different competition. And there's no shame in that. A lot of people come on this competition with just an immediate disadvantage because of lack of dance training. So yeah, Jesse, I think it was his time, but I think he was also a fighter and did pretty well in the competition. So it can be both. Both things can be true. Yeah.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on Vernon?
Yeah, exactly. I was literally going to say I want to talk about Vernon because obviously Vernon was in the bottom two. But Chrishell wasn't, because I think, you mentioned she has a fan base. I mean, Chrishell was safe even though she had a lower score than Vernon. So I think that's something to clock. Like, people are willing to fight for Chrishell, which I think, of course, you and I understand. But of course I mean, Vernon got really close to being eliminated this week. So we'll see. I mean, will he just be eliminated next week and he's just holding on for dear life, or is he going to pull a Monica and just come out of the gate with some crazy drive to stay alive in this competition? I have no idea.
I know it's a hard call. I think that his days, and I feel like this is such a nasty thing to say, but I really don't mean it that way. Like, I think his days are numbered. I don't think that we're going to see him for weeks and weeks and weeks to come, but I really enjoy watching him, and I think that there's no world in which next week he comes out of the gate with like a fire ready to make it back into that middle reign and stay for a little while. I don't know. He's kind of a toss up for me at this point in the competition. I'm happy no matter what, because I think he had an impressive run. But I don't know. He's a tough one. I'm conflicted. He's a tough one.
Yeah, I agree. I very much agree. I say we talk just for a second about Jeannie Mai. Just because
thank you.
She talked. I mean, we're not going to talk about every performer, but something about Jeannie's performance this week just completely wowed me. She did like a Virgin, Madonna, like a jazz dance, but in a bathtub. And there was like cotton in the bathtub, and they had some insane lifts. Some of them my favorite that I've seen in the competition so far. I mean, Bruno said that they were squeaky clean. Another one of the judges said that Jeannie's the most exciting performer this season. And I'm like, whoa. These are like really big comments, but they just scored a 24, like a lot of the other competitors. But I just don't know. I just wanted to give her a little bit of airtime. Fiona, what did you think of Jeannie's dance?
So I am so excited to be talking about Jeannie. Jeannie is one of those people who I feel like her performance really adds to herself in this competition. Let me re-say that. That didn't make any sense.
Yes.
Jeannie is one of those people who I feel like her performance ability serves her really well in the competition. Like, Jeannie shows up, does a good job with her steps, does a good job with the technique, but her and her partner bring it with the performance, the story they're telling, the costumes they're wearing. Every week, she's someone where we're like, okay, what are they going to do next? And that's not nothing. I mean, that could carry her through for a long time. Will she win? I don't know. But for now, she's someone that we're like, oh yeah, and what did Jeannie do? Like, what was she going to pull out this week? Which is pretty cool. I don't know. She's right in that kind of middle range, though. It's hard.
It's tough.
I
mean, I think she has a few weeks left in her, and she's no like Kaitlyn in terms of technique. But I mean, she being called the most exciting performer this season is a huge thing. I mean, Jeannie's reaction, she was like, and I can't imagine what her mom was thinking, because I know her mom's really hard on her. Mama Mai, as she calls her. But I don't know. It's pretty much every other week with me. It's like every other week I'm obsessed with her performances. And then in the like subsequent weeks, in the every other week, the alternating weeks, there we go. Sometimes she just like, it's no wow factor for me, but this week it was a wow factor. So I just wanted to bring her up because I love Jeannie.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about, we have Jeannie, love Jeannie, but we also have to talk about Sky, because she's another one of these that I feel like we go so up and down with.
Yes.
She was first last week, and now she's in the middle this week. I mean, look at those costumes. I loved her Back to the Future dance.
Love it.
Bit of a scary lift, though. It was a bit wonky.
Yeah, I mean, there was like,
it wasn't.
I was like, I couldn't tell. I was like, is that on purpose? Like, is it supposed to fall sort of like that? And the judges commented on it. And then they were like, no, who knows? They like weren't saying if it was a mistake or not, which probably means it was a mistake. But I don't know.
Right. But, I mean, we've seen this happen with her before where she's done, like, pretty good, and then it's been like, what were you thinking? Like, the judges are not like, okay, that was amazing, so great. And then the next week she's like, hi, I'm here to play. Like, I'm gonna wow you. So I don't know. Is she gonna wow us next week again? I feel like she's gonna kind of keep going like this for a while.
She's a huge question mark for me. I mean, no doubt she's so talented. She's so small. Just amazing how small she is. And she can bring it. We've seen what happens. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's an every other week thing. It's like exactly like Jeannie. So I would hope that she can really continue to gain her stride, because it really does seem so wonky in terms of her scoring. I mean, you look at someone like Kaitlyn, who's been so consistent. It's just hard to not compare other people to Kaitlyn's standing. But I don't know. I love Sky. Yeah. I think she's going to be around for a bit longer, but we'll see. Speaking of someone who, I mean, this is the last person we'll talk about in detail, but we have to just quickly mention Nelly, because Nelly, to me, has been one of the most surprising. He's been one of the most surprising people in this competition to me, because it's like, just when I think he's sort of reached his peak, he comes out again with a energetic, fun, goofy performance. And all of his interview portions, I'm just falling in love with him as a fan of Nelly. I just think he was such a surprise, like a firecracker in this competition for me. I just love him as a person, and his dancing has improved already so much. He was in those 24s with everyone else. And with Monica got a 26, but I'm like, this is Nelly, who I thought wasn't a very good dancer in the beginning of this competition, right there, up there with some of his like dancer counterparts. So I don't know. I just am like proud of him. I just have to say that. But what do you think about Nelly, Fiona?
Oh my God. I'm so proud of him. I am so excited to see him like still here, because I think he was one of those people where we were like, I mean, he's a performer, but like what kind of dance background does he really have? Like what kind of performing is he comfortable doing? And I feel like he looked like he was having so much fun this week.
Oh yeah.
He really, I think this is his best performance yet. I think this was the most confident he's looked, and like, to me, he's someone who's like quietly fighting. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I'm Nelly. You might not expect this from me. I know everyone views me as a bit of an underdog, but like I'm going to show up every week that I'm on this stage and take a few more of you by surprise. You know, like he's going to continue to win more and more people over. And I don't know. He's one of those that I'm like, I hope he could just stick around for as long as possible, because I really think we'll get to continue to see him grow, which is for me one of my favorite things to watch, is someone sort of improve week to week. So I'm really proud of him. That's the best. You put it the best way ever. I'm so proud. I'm just proud.
Completely agree.
All right, so who's gonna surprise us, Tyler? I mean, is anyone a surprise at this point? Who do you think is gonna have like a crazy week next week?
That is tough because as we get more and more into this competition, it's part of it is like it's harder to surprise us, but at the same time, I mean, look, we've been already surprised. I mean, someone like Johnny Weir's performance, but surprises do happen here. I think Jeannie. We're talking about Jeannie, and I know she's every other week, but if she can just like break that sort of every other week pattern, then I am all for Jeannie, and I just hope that she comes out of the gate next week also killing it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say Chrishell. I'm gonna say Chrishell every week.
No. I totally agree with you. Okay, I do think we'll continue to be surprised by Jeannie. Definitely think she has more to give, more to show. Chrishell, yes. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm like, we need a moment from her. We need the tides to turn. Because if they don't, I think we're gonna lose her earlier than almost is fair to her. You know, like she needs to find a routine, a style, something that really works for her. Because I think she needs the confidence boost. Like, she has more to give. Yeah. I don't want to lose her yet.
Yes. Yes. I just want Chrishell to do well. That rhymed. I don't know. I'm always going to be a fan of Chrishell. I will always be rooting for Chrishell every week. So that won't change. Same. But anyone else? I mean, it's hard to talk about who's going to surprise us this week, ultimately. I think those two are the big ones.
I don't know. Oh, it's so hard. I mean, I think that, I don't know. Maybe Justina Machado. Like, I just feel like they're all so good. Right, like, Justina. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Yeah, right? Like, I feel like Justina could have another one of those, like, really powerful moments. But would that even really surprise me? I hope she does. I'm gonna put Justina and Jeannie on my they might be coming to win next week.
That's fair. The only other way you can really surprise me is if Kaitlyn is not in the top next week. That's the only way I'm gonna be surprised by this competition.
Go but
of
negative
course,
surprise.
I don't wish that for her. A negative surprise. But everyone, there you have it. The best and worst of this week's episode of Dancing with the Stars. Do you agree with the judges' scores? Do you agree with anything that we said? Who do you think will go next? Who are you absolutely loving? Please do let us know down in the comments. And before you go, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos from us, like our weekly recaps of Dancing with the Stars. As always, I am your host, Tyler Joseph Ellis. You can follow me on socials, on Instagram and Twitter at TylerJoe33 and on TikTok at Tyler Joseph Ellis. And Fiona, where can they find you?
Find me on all social media at Fiona Zarin.
Yes, amazing. Well, everyone, that's all we have for you today. Please have an amazing week. We will hopefully see you next week to talk more Dancing with the Stars. But until then, adios.
Adios. Bye, guys.
All right.